Hey everyone, welcome to Wednesday's lively episode. Um,
Hey,
Before we get started, I have to say I really appreciate everybody liking, sharing, subscribing to the content. First of all, you guys have been liking the content like crazy. Hopefully, you're sharing it. As I said, you guys help us get to 1,000. We are going to hold a celebration party where you can ask us questions. There'll be cake, and it'll all be virtual. And we're just gonna have a fun time. You can ask us questions. We'll talk about different topics to celebrate our 1,000 subscribers. So the only way we can get there is by you guys. So hopefully you guys help us get there, and we appreciate everything that you do for liking the content. Is there anything you want to say, Anthea, before I start the video?
always something I can say. Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
just thank you to everybody, and it's just another exciting topic again because we don't really dive deep into things like this. Most people will just kind of meet somebody and not really ask too many questions. So I think this topic today is a good one to really dive deep into.
What's going to be interesting is, and I'll share it after we've talked about it. I've actually had some women get offended when I've asked this question. So let's jump into the video. We'll hear what they have to say, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm just going to mute my mic quickly. It's a short video, and then we will break it down.
Should ask this question to women before they settle down. And here's the question. What's your relationship like with your dad?
Oh man, you're asking the tough questions.
Pearl, what's your relationship like with your dad?
I love my dad. I go to my dad for all my problems. He probably wishes that I went to him less sometimes.
He's like, Pearl, enough of you.
Yeah.
What's your relationship like with your dad?
Very good. I think that's a very important relationship, especially like as a young woman. That's probably the best person that's able to set an example of a standard of a man that you should have.
Shout out to Marvin.
So shout out to the men who are good dads out there.
Jamie, what's your relationship like with your dad? Or what was
Every
it?
Sunday we have dinner and we have a good conversation, and then I look over at his ashes and I'm like, miss you, Dad.
What was it like when he was alive? Jesus Christ. Haram. What was it like when he was? Most men should ask this question to women before they settle down. And here's the question.
Interesting question. Hey, was that the end? Was that the end of the video?
That was
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know if there was more to come with it. If there was more questions. Okay.
This is an important question to ask. Not on the first date, but like if you know that it's going to transcend into a relationship, it's very important to ask this question. And I'm actually going to say why. Because based off of the relationship that she has with her father is going to be very dependent on how she treats you. If she has a huge respect for her dad, and if she goes to her dad for everything, and her dad has been her role model, because they usually say a woman's first love is her father, right? So if usually she doesn't have the best father example, that could be very problematic.
But you know what? I'm that person because my relationship isn't like that with my dad. So I'm actually a living example of the relationships that I got into because I didn't have that role model around. I totally believe it's because I didn't see what actual love was, or a true relationship, something that you could love and respect,
Like
because
positive male masculinity.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, positive. That positive injection from a father is, to me, would be everything. So not having that, I ended up in relationships that were not like just
they were destructive,
all over the place,
right?
all over. Sorry,
they were destructive.
Yeah, very destructive, very, very destructive.
But it goes on both sides, because guys that don't have the father figure presence, they get in bad relationships too. And I was a victim of that myself, of dating women that were not good for me.
Yeah, because sorry.
No, go.
No, go.
what I was going to say is it's very detrimental, because then you got to go through more pain to learn those lessons.
Absolutely. So when you haven't got someone showing you what something should be, you don't know no different. So you think that's, and I think we've done a podcast on this before, where actually when you don't know no different, you think when you've seen negative, let's say, negative behavior and words around you, you think that's what love is, because that's what you've seen. So when you get into a relationship, if it's not destructive, you think they don't love you. When it is destructive and they apologize, it's like, oh, they do love me. But actually, it's so twisted and wrong. It's all the wrong way around. It's only because of what you witnessed as you're growing up. So if you're somebody like the ladies that are just speaking and saying they've got a good relationship with their dad, it's very likely they've got good relationships with other males in their life. And it's been a huge knock-on effect for me, where I've had even like male friends, I end up falling out, or something just doesn't work out. But I'm not quite sure what it is and why it is. However, that's the pattern of it, and that's literally because there wasn't a proper father figure around to inject that positive energy and show me what love is about.
And I love that you said that, though, because like it's very interesting how it can affect your life long term, not having the proper mentorship and guidingship in those situations, right? So again, this is why, like, if we were to bring it full circle back into dating, there are certain questions that you need to ask, and we're actually going to break down all of the questions, from Anthea being a female, from me being a male. So I think if you're a man, the questions you should ask is, you should figure out what a relationship is like with their dad. Have they dealt with trauma? Or if they've had any trauma, we all have it, but have they dealt with their trauma is question number 2. Because if they haven't, they're going to be very problematic in a relationship. Guys don't really care too much about what girls do, as long as it's not like OnlyFans or any level of exotic work, right? But like, you want to know that like she has some baseline of responsibilities, that she's able to adhere to those responsibilities, like pay bills and things like that. Like, you don't want to date someone that's really bad with money. So I would say those top 3. I would also say, what does her spiritual life look like? Because if she doesn't have a good spiritual life, something, it doesn't have to be God, it could be meditation, prayer, just something baseline, where it allows accountability to be shown. I would say those things are very important. And for everyone, it's going to be different, but it's like, you also have to understand is, are you guys aligned? So like, if you're a man and you're like, well, I'm going this way, let's say entrepreneurship, you have a plan, you have to figure out how that woman fits into that plan. Because where a lot of guys make the mistake is, oh, she's just pretty, but she doesn't fit into your life. You see what I'm saying? So it can be very detrimental if you don't ask the appropriate questions. And looking for a girl that wants to get on your program, because when a girl really likes a man, she wants to get on his program, but you have to have a program to get on, right? So I would say being able to vet a woman, and we've talked about it on the podcast, vetting literally comes down to questions. And then through those questions, you say, okay, she says she's like this, but is she live like this? Is she nice to people? What's the relationship with her dad? Like, she could tell you, I have a great relationship with my dad. And then you go over to her place and she's like yelling at her dad, asking her dad for money, berating him. You know what I mean? So these
you hear her on the phone like that.
Exactly. So these are all things that you got to like look at. Like, if she tells you these things, is she about these things? Right. So these are the questions that I would say that any man should ask. Like, yes, you want to be attracted to her, but is there substance? Can you have a conversation with her? What are her morals and principles? Again, great with money, relationship with father, relationship with friends. Does she want to have a family? They're always going to want different things, but there's baseline questions you should ask yourself of what works. One of the questions that I'll say that a man should never ask a woman is, what is your body count? Guys, it's not going to help you knowing that. It's really not.
makes you insecure. Actually, it could make somebody quite insecure. They if they don't know how to deal with that, then they could literally turn the other way by finding that answer out as well.
Well, it's not really about insecurity. It's just you don't want to find out that your girl has, you know, been out there like that. But I think through healthy conversation, you'll know to some degree what her experiences have been like physically. Because again, it is a turn off for men knowing that if he's picking this girl and she's been like out there like that, it makes most men cringe.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think when someone meets somebody, if they are like, if you meet somebody and you've basically fallen for one another, I don't think you really care about things like that, because that wouldn't. I don't think it would make anybody cringe.
But I'm telling you this from the guy's point of view. Guys do care. Like, you're saying it, but guys care. Like, guys are repelled by those type of women, because ask yourself this question: do those women get wifed up? If we're looking at the majority don't. Now there's a random few that do, but if we're looking at majority, guys find it repelling.
Yeah, but I think things have changed massively,
They
Mike.
haven't.
That's how it used to be, because I know I've met so many people over like the years, and so like that was sleeping around or didn't really sleep, or like whatever it was, they had their own things going on, and then they meet somebody like years and years down the line, so they're past like the age of 35, 40 even, and they've had many partners, and I've never, like, once they've met the person for them, I haven't experienced that with anybody that I've known.
But you see, I'll tell you the truth, that's how women view it. But you see, it's interesting, because when men say men don't like women that sleep around, it's fought against, but it's like they're telling you that they're not attracted to that. Like,
but I think this day and age, it'd be really hard to find somebody. Not that it's really hard, but I don't think. I think it's all different. Back in the day, you didn't have sexual intercourse until you was married. Now it's not like that. That's what I'm saying. The thinking, there's somewhere along the line where that, I don't think that's true to today's society.
Well, I'll clarify. What I mean is, like, if she's been with like 100 people.
Oh. Yeah, but people, that's not realistic, is it? I don't know. I don't think.
Some people have, though. Some people have been with 50, 30. All I'm saying is, for a lot of men, if we're being honest, the studies are out there. The videos are out there. It's a turnoff for majority of men finding out that the girl that he's going to wife or mother of his children has extremely high body counts.
Do you know what? I can say the same about a man. If a man's like had over 100 women, then what makes me think he's going to stay with me after 100 of them? That's a lot of women to got with, or it's a lot of men to have got with.
But you see, and again, I'm glad we're talking about this, because we'll also talk about something else. That's the double-edged sword that's different for both parties. Men that sleep with a lot of women are adhered. They're praised. Women that do that are not. Because you see, we're going to use a beautiful example. And again, I'm not trying to turn it on you. You said that you find Harvey Specter very attractive. In the show Suits, he slept with many women. But your attraction for him didn't change. But you see, for a man, his attraction will change for a female that's done that.
Maybe because I know it's not real, in the sense
but I'm saying,
he's
like,
not standing in front of me.
But I meant, like, the characteristics of a lot of those men, that's how they are right now. We could look at any famous celebrity, Jason Momoa. A lot. You think he's been with only 2 women? He's probably been with quite a few.
Yeah. Just 100 just sounds like really like a lot of people.
No, but that's what I mean, though.
That's a lot of people.
For men and women, it's just different, because think of how hard it is for a man to sleep with 100 women. He has to be very calibrated, right? He would have to be like a man of, like, well put together to do that. Because it takes like a lot of game to get women's interest, keep their interest, keep them around. Like, you would have to be a calibrated individual to do that. For women, it's different because they can just go outside and get it whenever they want to. But a man that slept with over 100 women, he has to have like something unique about him that women are just drawn to, that make them want to be with that man.
Yeah.
So it's what you would call the double standard, right? I'm not saying that, like, let's say like I met a girl and she slept with like 2 people. I'm not like, ew, I'm not gonna commit to you. But I'm saying if the number is egregious, at that point you're kind of like, I don't know if it's a good idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, men are very territorial, which we've always discussed on this podcast. And you don't want to go out and find out that like you go to a party and like 5 guys have been with your girl.
Yeah.
It would be like,
well, I wouldn't want to go to a party and find out 5 girls have been with my man either at exactly the same
but
breath.
see, that's the double standard though. You wouldn't want to,
No.
but at the same time, in like DNA wise, it would pique your interest in your man a little more. Like, he's been with her, like, wow. And they're good looking women.
You know, I think I'd look at him and be like, you just brought me to a place where there's people that you've been sleeping with, you've slept with before. I wouldn't be impressed in any way, shape, or form. I think I'd be quite pissed about that, actually.
No,
like,
but if they were good looking women, you'd be like,
yeah, but even if they're good looking women, it would be like, I don't care if they're good looking or not. I don't want to be in the same place as where they were all sleeping. Like, he's had all these
but I meant
women
like inherently though.
It's like, actually, I'd rather not. I think I'll go to my car and I'll leave. You can.
But
stay
see, this is what makes the conversation interesting, because women say that. Think about it. A lot of celebrities, you don't think that your favorite celebrity that you like hasn't been with a lot of women. Women internally know that this guy has been with a lot of women, yet they still want him.
Yeah, but because it's not really reality. But if you had somebody like that, and you genuinely met them, like let's say you had the exact replicant of that celebrity, and you or the celebrity you actually met, they came to you. You're in a restaurant. They've seen you. Like, for me, let's say as a woman, he's seen me in the restaurant. He's like, oh my God, I don't know, whatever. They've sent somebody over. They really like me, and then it becomes real for me. I don't know if it's the same. Like, I think I'd feel like, oh, you're just picking me up like you would anybody else. Like, it doesn't mean anything, because he would have done that to any woman that he wanted, because he thinks I can have her because of my status. No, I don't think it quite works like that. I've got respect in that sense. It's like, just because you're a celebrity, and just because I think when I look at you on screen, oh, what a nice, like, yeah, I would like somebody like you, or you're, I don't know, like, I'm attracted to that person, doesn't mean I'm going to fulfill that in my reality.
Well, again, we would only ever know unless you're put in a situation.
Yes, I'll let you know if it ever happens to me. I'll tell you.
So
I'll give you the outcome of it.
Yeah. So on the opposite end, let's ask the question, Anthea, what important questions do you think females should ask men before they take that man seriously?
Well, do you know what? The question that got asked on there was asked about a female's relationship with their father. But I learned very soon on in life. Like, I was only about I say soon, I was about 26, 27 when I realized one of the main questions to understand is, what's the guy's relationship with the mum? How does he treat his mum? And I only learned this because of a relationship that I was in. When I heard the guy speaking to his mum, I thought, if he can talk to his mum like that, how can he speak with me? And I was very right, because as he got to know me, he would speak to me the way he spoke to his mum, which was so disrespectful. And I was like, wow. So there's a question to ask a guy. How do you treat your mum, and how do you get on with your mum? So the ones that will say, oh, my mum's everything to me, and I do this and I do that, we like, I always help her and be there and whatnot, then they're the guys I'm happy to speak around.
Okay. What else questions? What other questions should a woman ask before?
I think it goes very much alongside the same as what a male does. You want to know where they're going in life, how they see themselves in like 5 years time. What is their ambitions? Where they're going? Do they want children? What type of, we want to know, are they stable? What do they do? Like, how do you make things happen in your world? I think there's.
What about trauma?
But I think, sorry.
What about trauma?
Trauma, I was just about to say, I think with trauma, you're going to naturally find out about that as you get to know one another. So you will know. I don't think I'd ask a direct question, have you dealt with your trauma like that? I think that's just too, but I think it's easier to have a conversation with somebody, and as they're speaking with you, they're going to open up because you're getting to know one another, and they're going to express to you the trauma they've been through and what they've done about it thus far, and like where they're at on their journey. I think that will be a very natural thing. I just don't think it's a question that I will just come out and ask somebody.
I'll word it for you differently. I think when a woman deals with a man, she needs to know what type of trauma he's had, so she can figure out if it's something she wants to deal with.
Yeah, but I think that will just naturally come out through a conversation. I don't think
for sure. It would come out through a conversation. Like everything comes out through a conversation. But at a point, like let's say one of his traumas is like, like he's very needy or like whatever it is, and you're like, that becomes a red flag for you, and that doesn't work for you. These are questions, or I guess open-ended questions, that you need to know as a woman before you deal with a man, because you have women here letting the guy in the open house having sex with men, and they know not too much about these men.
Yeah, well, I think one thing you've got to be super aware of is to watch somebody's temperament, how they are as well. And I think that's just more of an awareness rather than, you wouldn't just ask somebody, are you angry, or I don't know. You just have to watch and be aware of how they deal with things, how they respond to people. I think you just get the general characteristics of somebody, So I think questions are important, but I think you need to really tune into what you want from that person, so you understand yourself as well. What is it I'm looking for? Yeah.
Well, it's just the reason why I make that statement is because I know a lot of girls that will date a guy, they find out all these things, they're sleeping with him, and then they're still like, oh, but I like him, but he's got trauma, doesn't have a job, has no vision for his life. And it's like, you didn't ask these questions, but yet you're sleeping with him.
Yeah.
That sounds backwards to me.
Yeah. Well, it just depends on where you're going with it. If you've met somebody, you just want to sleep with them, then you're not going to get with the questions. But if they're looking to be in a relationship, then yes, absolutely, you need to know. You need to just find out these things as you go along. And if it's something you say, well, I'm quite happy with that, there's no judgment from anybody. It's up to you what you do and who you're with, and there's nothing to do with anyone. But just don't go moaning to people if that's not what you want, and you stay there. That's the part for me. It's like people stick there, but then what they do is they go and find somebody's ear to go and tell them all about how much they don't like the fact they don't work, and they don't like the fact they haven't got a vision and blah. But they're the ones staying there, accepting that, and then moaning to other people. That I don't agree with.
See, my biggest thing is this. You need to find out as quickly as possible for both sides where this person fits into your life, so you don't waste time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for me, that's an issue. Like within a month, you should at least have a baseline idea of who this person is. You shouldn't be telling me,
you can make a decision from there.
Yeah, exactly. You shouldn't be telling me, it's been like 6 months, I'm still trying to figure them out.
Yeah. Well,
figure what out?
Yeah, but if they're still trying to figure out another person, it's because they haven't figured out themselves. That's all that comes down to.
Oh, for sure. But it's like, you need to be able to do it. Like, it's a skill. You need to be able to do it as quickly as possible. Like, as a man, okay, I find this woman very attractive. Let's start going on some dates. And you need to figure out how she fits into your life and who she is. And you need to be able to do that as quickly as possible, just in case you're not a good fit. So you're not wasting time and dragging it out.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
I would say the same would be for a woman. Exactly the same thing. Get to know as quick as possible, and don't fall into traps of this, like, and we've spoken about it before, like love bombing and all of that. Just have a super awareness. I think no matter what, anyone you meet, you just got to have that awareness of the character, hear what they're saying, listen to what they're saying, believe what they're saying, as if they're telling you certain things. Like, take it on board. Don't ignore it.
That's why I said that. Because I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed this too, that the people, men and women, will jump into the relationship. They find out things that they don't like. but now it's too hard for them to leave because they're already attached.
Yeah. And then they go moaning to somebody else saying,
Then they go
here goes-"
moaning to someone else.
Yeah.
But it's like, you jumped in this way too fast,
Yeah.
didn't ask enough questions in the beginning to say, whoa. I can't commit to that. I like you, but I can't commit to that. They'll commit first and then find these things out. And then it's like, whoa, yeah, we'll wind it back.
And I think also when people have, if they haven't vetted somebody and they haven't asked the questions and they've got into something exactly how you just said, I think don't stay there just because you invested that time. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Like, I don't care if it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year. When you've come to that stage in your world where you think actually it's time to move on, or it's just not resonate, it's not working, there's many things that have built up along the path, but you just keep on staying there just because you don't want to hurt them, you don't want to let them down, you don't want this. But actually, this is about turning it around and about the self-love here to say, well, first and foremost, I have a relationship with myself before I have a relationship with anybody else. So why should I keep myself unhappy just to please that person because they want to be with me, but it's not congruent to me and it's not aligning with my values, my needs, my wants, I think too many people stay there.
The only thing I would say with your scenario where it needs to be fixed or tinkered with is have you and the partner worked on it first before you just decide to jump ship.
No, that's what I'm saying. After many, many years of all these things happening and they haven't, and they've tried and they've gone, and then you've come to that end stage. Like, when you've reached that, don't stand there and think, oh, but if I just go and try this one more thing. No, it doesn't work like that.
But see, I think we should have a guest on to talk about that, because what's interesting is it's very different if you have things entangled with that individual. Finances, children, a house. It's not as easy to walk away from those things when you have those things like attached with that individual. You see what I'm saying? Like, it sounds easy to just say, I'm going to walk away. But like, let's say you've been married to someone for 5 years. You got a house, you got 2 kids, you got things in your name. It's not as easy to walk away compared to just when you're in a relationship.
I'm not saying it's easy.
I'm not saying you're easy. I'm just saying it's a lot more complex.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not even, sorry, my mind wasn't even going to family. I was just thinking of single individual people. I wasn't thinking, because we're talking about dating somebody. And
for sure. Yeah. But like, the end goal is to always go to like that end thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's why on this podcast, guys, I'm not saying to protect you, because a lot of times when you try to protect yourself, sometimes you can keep the wrong people out, but we're asking you to be aware and self-conscious of your choices, especially when it comes to picking someone, because who you decide to share your life with is a big deal. It's not something that should be taken lightly. Not anybody can fulfill the role. It's like, can anybody just join the NBA? No, not anybody can fulfill the role. You need the right person at the right time, and you decide on those things, where you're at in life, who you are in life at that time. And then you're saying, well, I want to couple up with this person and we're going to go do this journey together. But you have to be able to assess where they fit into your life and how they fit into your life.
Absolutely. I think it's like any process, isn't it? If you're going to go and buy a house, you need to work out what the area is you're going to go and buy in, how many bedrooms you need for it to fit your criteria. You don't just go and invest £500,000 just for the sake of it.
Yeah, you don't just sign your name. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just done. No, you find out, even if it's for investment purposes, if it's for living purposes, if it's for a gift purposes, there's a setup behind it. You get to know about it first, and then you go and make the moves and commit yourself to it. And I think that's the same with the relationship.
I agree with you. Exactly. Yeah. It is exactly like that. When you're buying a house, you look at all the steps before you commit to it. It's the same thing in dating. You look at the individual, you spend time with them, you create experiences before you commit. And everything comes down to a conversation. Like, okay, look, this is getting serious. we obviously clearly like each other. You know, let's get into this committed relationship. But before we do that, let's have a conversation to see where we're at when it comes to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and if you've been fitting into one another's life thus far, let's say, and it's all been going really well, then you know that you fit well together. If your conversations, you know, if it's mostly positive and you feel like, actually not just feel, but you can see and you're experiencing a positive impact in your life, it's always a good sign to know that you're in a good place with somebody, you know, because when you're shining, you're shining. When you're in a good relationship, a woman will shine at the end of the day, you know.
And I'm glad that you said that, though, because another question just popped into my head. Another question that men need to ask is how a woman handles conflict.
Yes.
Because if the person does not handle conflict very well, that's a no. Like, you don't date them. And I'm not saying that they're a bad person, but I'm saying because in a relationship, you're not always going to like your partner. So there's going to be times when you're going to have tough conversations. There's going to have to be times when you're going to have to, have that heart to heart. But if the person that you pick is very childish, name calls, degrades, shaming language, you know,
it's a no all day.
Emotionally belittles you, you know what I mean? Can't really talk calmly or communicate effectively. No, if you
then we wouldn't have gone past date number 1, to be fair.
Well, no, because that's the thing. Even at date number 1, I still don't know how you handle conflict. Within a month, I'll have a clear idea how you handle conflict.
Yeah.
Because, well, obviously, again, conversations will come up where you'll disagree. You might do something that the girl might not like or the guy might not like or whatever. And it's how can you handle that conflict? Because if you can't handle conflict well, that's one of the key things of being in a relationship or a marriage is how you handle conflict.
No, you know what? You're very right. It is one of the biggest things because how you react to one thing is how you react to everything. How you do one thing is how you do anything. So at the end of the day, if something pops up that you need to deal with and your reaction is actually just bull in a china shop and that's how you deal with it, then that's a big no, right? But if you see somebody stop and think about it and be like, you know what, I need a minute to digest this, to understand what my response is going to be, give me a minute type thing, then be able to respond, then that's such a nicer way to
that's why it's important because, again, and I learned this just this year because I've picked people, they couldn't handle conflict, and at the time I couldn't handle conflict. And it's like, you need to learn how do you guys handle that together because you both might handle it very differently. So that is going to be a very important skill that you guys can learn together. But it is important because let's say Anthea is like a woman and she commits to a guy and how he handles conflicts and yells. It's like, well, I don't want to commit to that. But you need to know, like within a month, you should have a clear idea on how that guy deals with those things. As you said, how he talks to his mother, how he talks to his friends, how he talks to the waiter. You should have an idea, okay, this man handled conflict very well, especially when you guys disagree on things. He doesn't yell, he doesn't get rude, he doesn't get belligerent. You know, he can still get his feelings across or his points across without having to cross the line of disrespect.
Absolutely. Of course you can. You don't need to be you don't need to turn into a complete
Hulk.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Some guys do, though. Some guys do because that's the thing. Some guys, that's how they might handle conflict. It's just like some women, they might handle some conflict by being rude and belligerent and whatever those things are. So for me, guys, I actually want to try to see if I can do a PDF for you guys, just a small one page, to what questions you should ask before you date someone or even take them seriously. And I think me and Anthea could put something together for both guys and girls. If you guys would like that, please comment on it. We're going to wrap this live up. Guys, please like, share, subscribe. If you like, share, and subscribe, me and Anthea will do a PDF for you guys, you know, and we'll give it to you guys for free. What important questions should you ask someone before you take them seriously? We'll have a guy side and we'll have a female side. And it's just something that you can have in your pocket for you know, for you to study, something for you to look at to say, oh man, I don't ask this question, or I don't look at this, so this is something I should look at. So guys, put us to work because we want to talk about different topics and suggestions. So down below we have our email, which is love.relationships. I believe podcast at gmail.com. It's down below. And you guys can forward us your questions. You could forward us, hey, I want you to talk about this. You know what I mean? So there's a bunch of things because like next week, Anthea wants to talk about 50-50 because she didn't get to do that when we did it together. And another topic that I want to talk about is hookup culture.
Hookup culture. What's
Yeah,
that?
like people just hooking up with each other and just moving on. Like, you know what I mean? Like they don't have a plan for anybody. It's just they're just hooking up. Everyone's just hooking up with each other.
Okay. I've never heard that term before.
Yeah. So right now we're in a well, think about it. Hookup culture is prevalent. Tinder, POF, all those dating apps. Hookup culture is huge now.
Okay.
So most of the time people think about it. Nobody wants to work things out, but they want to hook up and ghost. That's what they want to, hook up and ghost. So, you know, I mean, it's a topic that I think that we should talk about on this podcast, hookup culture, because I've played a role in it. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I've done that. Not a good idea. So, guys, please like, share, subscribe. And as I said, we'll put a nice little PDF together for you guys if you guys would like on important questions you should ask before you take someone seriously. So we will see you on Friday's episode. You will just have me.
I won't be here. I was going to say I'm not here Friday.
Yeah, but you will see Anthea next week. I will cover this Friday's topic. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, next week's going to be a banger. You guys just help keep liking, sharing, subscribing, and viewing. And, you know, you help us get to that magic number of 1,000K.
See you later, everyone.